What's going on, guys? Kind of missed my normal window for throwing out a shop update for you guys, and I was tempted to just go ahead and wait till the end of this coming week. But kind of thought about it a little more. Figured I'd just throw one out anyway. Maybe we'll try to shorten this one up a bit. But I did have a number of things to go over, a number of things to show you, and one or two things to talk about. That being said, I did actually already upload a video to the channel this week, so I guess it wasn't a complete fail. And for once it was a video that wasn't just update related, so that was a little bit of a breath of fresh air. I enjoyed making that. Hopefully it's a helpful video. Basically it's just me going over how to build a cheap and effective pyrometer for your forge. And kind of dawned on me earlier today, actually, that I don't think I once called it a pyrometer, even though that's what it is. I used other terms like thermometer or temperature monitoring device, even temperature controller, though as it sits, it's not quite able to control anything without some modifications and upgrades. But at any rate, I did get another video up. I'm hoping guys are finding that very useful, guys or gals. And it seems to be getting a pretty good reception thus far. I already had some guys kind of compliment me on it, or reach out to me for a little bit of additional information even before putting the video up. I'd posted some pictures on Instagram, so it seems like a pretty useful subject. Something a lot of guys can use. I think a lot of bladesmiths or blacksmiths, or especially newer guys like me who are just firing a forge up, to beat on some steel for the first time, or maybe just kind of trying to follow the color charts online. And I know there's like temple sticks or other methods of, somewhat approximating the temperature of your work or your steel or your forge. But in my opinion, there's really no easier or potentially even better way than having a big digital display right in front of you, or some kind of pyrometer, analog or digital, with which to do that. And it's by no means a perfect system. It's not going to tell you exactly how hot your piece is, unless you're just letting it soak in there up to temperature for 30-40 minutes or probably even less than that. But it still is useful. It even gives you a relative perspective of what changing your gas flow or your airflow and things like that does. So definitely a useful tool, and I hope other guys find the video useful as well. So that was one little project this week. One thing I also did, and I did do a couple Instagram lives that didn't turn out too well. I didn't end up uploading either one of them. For one, the first one, my phone overheated. Had it a little bit too close to the forge, I guess, and the internals, started going nuts, and I got that warning on the display that the phone is in safe mode due to overheating or whatever iPhone puts on there. So I had to go cool it down before kind of dropping back in. Lost a few viewers, but anyway, one thing I showed on that Instagram live or two that I poorly attempted was I did make some tongs, and they actually came out quite nice. They're working quite well. Kind of surprised myself, for never making tongs before, and not really knowing what I was doing, which I rarely ever claim to. I just kind of beat out what I thought they should look like. I did have to do a little bit of grinding, a little bit of modifying after the fact, just to make them close like I wanted. But they came out pretty nice, and actually I got a number of people complimenting how good they looked, or how much better than their first tongs they looked, which, I kind of made the joke. I'm not sure if that's a compliment to me or an insult to them. But yeah, I'm happy with how they came out, and I definitely want to make a few more. These are just some pieces of 1/2-inch rebar. I actually had lying around to make tongs from for a while now, and finally got around to it. And I think I'm going to go to the hardware store this week and get 2 or 3 10-foot sticks. They're actually not very expensive at all. It's probably one of the more cost-effective ways of getting, you know, this size stock. And it's a good steel, you know, typically. And, you know, if you want to, you can draw it out a little thinner. But, you know, as it sits, I think they give a pretty good grip. And, you know, I think they make some pretty good tongs. You know, a lot of guys are just buying square stock or round stock or larger stock and drawing it out. But if you want kind of a quick and easy and dirty way to make something like this, rebar is pretty hard to beat. So I'll make a few more. I'd like to make some that close together a little tighter for thinner pieces, some that are a little wider for bigger pieces, some box jaw tongs, you know, for holding square stock, round stock, whatever. Might weld some angle iron onto the ends, just make some different shapes and profiles. But as for these, you know, I purposely left them a little bit wide or open, so I can't quite close them all the way, you know, at least without cocking the handles a little bit. That's about as far as they're going to close, and that was by design. You know, because most stock I'm forging with isn't going to get much thinner than that yet. And, you know, that said, I've also got some pieces, you know, like these roller bearings, where if they close tighter than they do, I really wouldn't be able to hold it too well. You know, this is about to the extent of a comfortable, safe grip. So this will let me, you know, get down to the end of it, you know, flatten this out, and then I can turn it and, you know, kind of go through the process of drawing it out. And this is actually one of those that I drew out into a little, what will soon be a little neck knife. I was going to make a Kiradashi out of this, but rather than keep it wider at the tip, I think I'm going to go for a slimmer profile. And then originally I was going to put the edge on this side. I think I may actually reverse that and do like more of a Wharncliffe or sheep's foot blade. Still kind of playing with that. I need to taper it a little bit more, straighten it a little bit more. But, you know, still a fun little project I've been working on there. I'm treating it like 52-100. I'm assuming that's what it is, though I could be wrong. Here is actually a Kiradashi, or what's left of it, that I forged out. And I was actually very happy with the shape, but I kind of accidentally went a little too thin on that corner. Actually way too thin. And so I didn't quite get the bevel to turn out like I wanted it to. And I was planning on breaking this one anyway, just to check the grain. And I'm not sure how well that shows up, but it did come out a little rougher than I would have wanted. You know, if I had heat treated this and normalized it in my heat treat oven, it probably wouldn't have been nearly as bad. Come on, focus. I mean, even out of focus, you could see that grain's pretty large, about the consistency of like a fine table salt. Maybe not quite that coarse, but, you know, you could definitely run your fingernails across it and definitely see, it's like a fine sand, you know, and it needs to be a little bit more refined than that. So, you know, I'm practicing. The temperature pyrometer should help with that a little bit, give me a little bit better idea of where things are at. I can kind of dial my forge heat down as I'm trying to normalize, you know, maybe get a little bit more consistent with that. I also, by the way, ordered another jar of this ITC 100 HT coating. Had some real good success with it on my heat treating oven. It made quite a difference immediately, and I want to see if maybe I can get a little bit more efficiency by coating my forge with that. Something I had planned to do, you know, from the get-go, just didn't really get around to yet, as the stuff is really pricey, and I could see why a lot of guys are hesitant to buy it, and I'm curious as to how they really justify the cost. You know, looking at about $45, $50 without shipping for this little jar of mud is basically what it is. I think it's maybe ceramic or alumina dust, probably mixed with bentonite clay or something like that, maybe one or two other things. You know, I don't want to minimize it too much because I'm sure there was some research and development and, you know, some cost output, you know, just to figure out what worked best. And, you know, I'd love to see the facility that makes it. You know, maybe they got a lot of overhead, I don't know, but it just seems like a lot for what it is. At the same time, I do think it's worth it. I think you will very likely make that money back just through having it on your forge, through being more efficient, using less fuel, getting to heat faster, holding heat better. I imagine I'll save that $50 just in gas over the first couple of months, or depending on how much forging I do in the first year, or over the life of the coating, which will have to be replaced here and there. But I think it's worth it. And even just from the results I got from my kiln alone, I've been impressed with it. So I'm getting some more, whether there's a cheaper, better product out there or a product that's just as good and cheaper, I don't know. But that one's tried and true. It's gotten a lot of great reviews. A lot of guys swear by it, and I'm kind of becoming one of those people as well. So hopefully that'll get in this week. I'll coat the forge with it. I'll maybe see about doing some test runs. I know right now I've really just fired up the forge with the pyrometer a couple of times. The one time I got it up to about 2,000 degrees pretty easily. I can definitely get it up to 1,600, 1,800 very easily. I got to kind of open the gas up and the air up a little bit more to hit 2,000. Haven't quite tried to hit 2,300 yet, which is kind of the max temp for a lot of forges. But I might try that after the ITC, or just see how quickly or easily then I can get up to 2,000. So maybe we'll do some tests, do another video. We'll see. But I think that's about all I want to touch on this week. I am kind of starting to look into gearing up for a forge press build. I found one of my old books that I'd bought years ago with the intention of building one. Maybe even debating doing a rolling mill. Kind of got to see. I think I could use the press more, though I think I could probably build the rolling mill sooner and more easily based on what I already have and what I would need to get. I'm not sure. A rolling mill is also a lot smaller. Something I can kind of put up out of the way. Whereas a forging press, I want to build probably at least a 25-ton press. It could start taking up some room and get pretty big and heavy pretty quick. And I still want to build a plasma table. That'll probably come before any of them, as I've got some ideas and different projects kind of revolving around that I'd much like to get into. So yeah, I don't know. I got several $1,000s worth of projects, that are many tens of hours, or even hundreds of hours worth of work and research. But I think they're going to be worth it, and I'm excited to have those to look forward to and to be researching, and just trying to find the best approach, best bang for my buck, and so on. And, hopefully there's some forthcoming videos about any of them. So, I guess that's all I'm going to run on about that. And, we're already close to 15 minutes here, which is about 10 minutes longer than I thought this would be. So I'm going to cut this one off. Thank you guys for following along, for being members of the channel here and participating, and for putting up with me. So thanks for watching, and we will see you guys on the next one.